The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
Okay, let's go.
Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. Okay, you're stuck with me for the intro today, unlike the past 2 days, which has been fun, but I do enjoy doing that, starting the episode off with some type of introduction. Anyway, hey, it's Ray Dustar. This is the Deep Shallow Dive, and this is episode number 40. Wow, I seriously can't even believe it's 40 episodes, but I love it, and hopefully we will have 40 more and 40 more after that and 40 more after that and so on and so forth. But anyway, thanks again, everybody, for listening. So I woke up yesterday after the episode 39, which really focused on my good friend Lee and his take that he shared with me, along with a few different things. And I woke up to about 20 text messages, and then throughout the course of the day, I received a bunch more, and they were all great, actually. Not only talking about, the insight that they learned from the episode, from Lee's message, but more importantly, actually equally importantly, is that, oh my gosh, I had so much content that people sent me. So whether it was through text or through links or, hey, check this out. Hey, I found this. I'd love for you to see this. What are your thoughts on this? It was awesome. And I pretty much spent about 3 hours yesterday going through all this content, which was incredible. And here's the best part about what I received, and this is kind of going to be the focal point of today's episode, is that, I received things from people that honestly, I wouldn't expect them to have sent me that. And you'll understand what I mean when I start sharing stuff. And here's a perfect example. Okay, some people's names I'm going to share, others I'm not, because again, I do ask everybody if I can do that or cannot do that. But this is from a good friend that I've known probably 15 years, and he is Jewish. And so give this a listen. By the way, this is not him talking. This is what he sent me. And he said, hey, I think you should give this a listen because a lot of us feel this way.
I'm a proud Jewish man, unapologetically Jewish, love being Jewish, and I don't stand with Israel. More than one thing can be true at the same time. I absolutely unequivocally condemn Hamas and their actions against innocent Israelis. I also unequivocally condemn the Israeli government and their decades-long oppression of Palestinian people. If you have any humanity, you can't support the state of Israel and their actions against Palestinians. Unless A, you just don't believe, you just don't know what's going on, or B, you view Palestinians as less than human. And there has been a successfully collective effort on the part of Western media to dehumanize Palestinians, calling everything they do terror and everything Israel does defense. Israel has the right to defend itself. We hear this over and over again. Hamas started it. This was an unprovoked attack, unprovoked. Israel has had their foot on the necks of Palestinians now for decades. They live in what amounts to an open-air prison. Israel regularly cuts off water. Now they've cut off food supplies and electricity from these people.
I'll be honest, I didn't even believe him. I was like, okay, there's so much fake stuff these days. Is this just like a shill? Is this like somebody using reverse psychology or something? But it's not. I went to the dude's TikTok. It's legit. I mean, that's what he said. Now, again, I don't know that person. I don't think my friend knows that person. But based on the comments and everything I read, that seemed like a real take from that person, And what I like the most about it is it reinforces that you can be two things at once. if those two things are aligned, and that is pro-Israel as well as pro-Palestine, and you add those up, and that should equal pro-people, pro-humanity, versus what I'm hearing and seeing from, these talking heads on TV, which, God, I've lost a lot of respect for these guys because there's no empathy. There's no empathy. All right, so here's the next one I'm going to play for you. And this one is like from one of my whitest white Casper the Ghost friends, who is like super conservative Republican. I mean, I think he still puts pennies in his penny loafers. Like, this dude is about as white as it gets. And we've had a lot of good conversations about like the military industrial complex. I mean, he thinks Oswald shot JFK. So obviously we don't agree on things. And so he sent me this. It's a Maria Bartiromo interview with Michael McCall. And the reason he sent it is, if you remember, I don't remember which episode, but a couple episodes ago, I played you a clip of Michael McCall. He is the U.S. Foreign Committee chairperson or something like that. It's a big job that he has, and he's like the number one guy on the U.S. Foreign Affairs Committee when it comes to intelligence. And he was talking about how, I don't know how we missed it. We missed it. Mossad missed it. CIA missed it. I have no idea how, a bulldozer cut through a fence for an hour and we never reacted and, blah, blah, blah. If you remember that clip. Actually, let me play the clip I put in. I think it was part 2 or part 3. Okay, listen to this to refresh your memory.
We heard from the administration. There seems to have been a failure of intelligence as well. We're not quite sure how we missed it. We're not quite sure how Israel missed it. We know that Egypt had warned the Israelis 3 days prior that an event like this could happen. We know that this had been planned perhaps as long as a year ago.
So my friend, I asked him if I could say his name. He said, no. I said, okay, I'm going to call you Casper. So Casper sent me this, and he said, hey, I think you might be right on things that previously I did not agree with you. I just listened to Michael McCall's interview with Maria Bartiromo, and to me this feels like they're baiting Iran, and it feels like more of the military-industrial complex stuff you talked about, gosh, maybe they do want war, or at least the appearance of war, unquote from him, which, by the way, I like that last part, the appearance of war. More to come on that later. Boom. Tease bomb. Okay, give this a listen. This is what he was talking about.
Let's get to this message that Iran sent to Israel on Saturday night, stressing that it does not want further escalation in the war. And it said that if it sees Israel go in this ground attack, which we are expecting, they will have to intervene, and Israel will face a quote-unquote earthquake.
Frightening. This is the nightmare scenario we've always been worried about. Israel, there's no question they're going to go into Gaza. It's their 9/11. They want justice. They're going to go in and take out Hamas, which is like ISIS. I went to that kibbutz where they killed all the little children there and decapitated them.
Okay, so I had to interject real quick. I mean, you see what happens? So he's talking about the story we talked about yesterday, which was the 40 dead babies decapitated, which got debunked by the Israeli army themselves. 1, the CNN reporter who reported on it. 2, and then that other reporter that I played for you, her original clip, and then her interview with Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. I mean, that's up to you. You have to decide what your take was on that. But the way he just casually threw that out when, again, it was debunked by the Israeli army as well as the actual CNN reporter who said it. She came out and apologized and said, we have now been told there's no proof of that. That's not cool. This is coming from a big-time U.S. congressperson. I find that irresponsible. I really do. I find it irresponsible. Okay, here's the rest of it.
It's going to happen. So then what is Iran going to do? Are they just going to help their proxies like Hezbollah and others? Or are they going to get directly involved in this conflict? Either way, Maria, my committee is charged with war and peace. My committee has the power to declare war or issue an authorized use of military force. We don't want to do that. But if this escalates, that's what worries me the most.
I would recommend listening to that again. Seriously, just hit the 15-second rewind.
Tell me what you're referring to. Are you saying that the United States will have to get involved?
Well, if we want to stop, say, Israel from obliterating Iran, yes. And that would be a question for the American people. Do we want to get involved to defend Israel? Right now, we're just providing weapons and training. We're not involved. We're not firing our missiles from our destroyer ships in the Mediterranean. But the minute that happens, it does trigger the War Powers Act. And so that's why we have to be so careful here and pray that it does not escalate to that level, because what would follow after that would be very bloody.
It sounds like you expect this escalation to happen.
I think the Hezbollah one will, as soon as Israel goes into Gaza. That's the nightmare scenario that I talked about. The Situation Room is, how can Hezbollah not go in when the narratives come out? Hamas is very good at propaganda, as you've seen, and they're going to blame all this on Israel, even though they drew first blood. They were the ones that went in to this massacre, 9/11 style. It's their fault, not Israel's. But when Israel responds, they get blamed for it. And then Hezbollah gets involved with all their rockets.
Right.
And then if Iran gets in there, then we're talking about issues of war and peace.
Congressman, thank you. We're going to be watching, and your leadership is so important right now. We appreciate your time. Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman, Congressman Michael McCaul. Thank you, sir.
Bro. All right. That's up to you to decide what you think about that. I'm going to leave it with bro. Okay, next topic. What I am quickly realizing with the other people that I listen to on their podcast or the news, whether it's mainstream or non-mainstream, all of these personalities. And when I say personalities, I'm talking about, everybody. Ben Shapiro, let's see, Dan Bongino, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Jason Whitlock, who else? Anderson Cooper, Joy Reid, Mehdi Hassan. The one group of people that I really haven't heard anything from, now that I think about it, is the ladies on The View. I haven't seen any clips from them. I mean, again, I don't really follow those guys, but normally when they have takes, they're pretty salacious, and so they end up going viral. So I see them through Instagram Reels or on TikTok, but I really haven't seen anything. So if anybody knows maybe or has any good takes or clips from The View, please send them my way. I would like to see those and maybe play some. I'm curious what those ladies think. But I just gave you a list of, right-wing conservative, left-wing liberal on-air personalities. And what I've realized is listening to all of them collectively is, this thing is starting to really crystallize for me, and it's crystallizing into humanity, okay? Lee did say this in his text. He said, hey, I can be pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian people at the same time. And unfortunately, I couldn't just say pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, because And this is the fact of this situation. Palestine, that word, has been demonized. It really has. It really has. Palestine and the Palestinian people are not Hamas. They're not terrorists. And what is sad to me is that when I look at all of these personalities that, have enormous audiences, way bigger than mine currently, none of them are taking that stance. Why can't you come out and say, hey, I'm pro-Israel? If you're Megyn Kelly, Dan Bongino, Ben Shapiro, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton, which, by the way, I continue to want to point this out, those are all right-wing, conservative, Republican voices whom are championing my left-wing, liberal, democratic friends who are only I stand with Israel and nothing else. Those guys are championing your cause. So I do find that interesting. And I would love to hear from any of my listeners, friends, whomever. If that is you, I am very curious if now you are a fan of those guys and where you net out on those personalities. But I will say, every single one of those guys, they are just so one-sided, and they have no empathy whatsoever for the Palestinian people. Okay? I'm not talking about Hamas. I'm not talking about terrorists. I'm talking about, for example, the father that lost his 6-year-old boy in Illinois that I talked about yesterday to the landlord who stabbed the kid 26 times. Seriously, think about that. I'm talking about, I will say this. I brought up Sean King's name earlier, I think in the first episode, and he is an incredibly liberal activist that was one of the primary voices in a variety of things. Basically, he's one of the primary voices in everything against Trump. And even the what do you call it? Oh my God, I can't believe I'm blanking on defund the police. He was a big voice in that. I didn't agree with that. I don't want to defund the police. I don't want somebody showing up at my door and then who am I going to call? My neighbor? What the heck's he going to do? Although my neighbor looks like Matt Leinart, he might be able to do something. More on him later, actually, because I know he's listening. Anyway, my point is, and I brought up Sean King again because if you are completely one-sided on this and all you can think about is retribution because of what took place on October 7th, and you can't separate the terrorist side from the human side, the terrorist side from the Palestinian people, go to Sean King's page on Instagram. Seriously. Actually, anybody. Go to Sean King's page on Instagram. He spells his name S-H-A-U-N King. So Sean King, S-H-A-U-N-K-I-N-G. Go to that page, look at those videos, and then come talk to me. I mean, if you can even stomach them. I shared that page with a few different friends, and one in particular said, dude, I can't even look at this stuff. I just can't. And I respect that. I get it. I'm like, I understand. I understand. It's very graphic. Very graphic. And it is showing you what is happening to the Palestinian civilians, the Palestinian people. Seriously, go look at that and then come talk to me if you can even get through it. So my point of all that was, this thing is, you can't look at this one-dimensionally, and you can't even look at this in a 2-week silo. This is not like Hamas. And again, I am anti-terrorist. I am anti-hurting anything, especially human beings. But it's not like these guys attacked Sweden out of the blue, okay? What's been going on, and we're going to continue to search for the truth in all this, but what's been going on has been going on for 70 years, okay? This did not come out of the blue. And even though the attack came out of the blue, this angst and division did not come out of the blue on October 7th. The problem is, especially for us in America, we just don't hear about it as much. It's out of sight, out of mind. And the only time we hear about it is when it's massive. It's like either 0 or 100, and there's no in between. But I'll tell you who has the in between, and I'm going to give you a list of accounts in the next episode because I'm really just starting to do this myself. Man, look at some of the African countries. These African countries and certain accounts for these African countries, certain people in these African countries, they drop dimes. There's a lot of knowledge coming out of that continent that none of us here in North America probably have any idea about. That's for sure. And I'll give you a quick example, although I'm not going to play anything for you or talk too much about it. But if you did not hear, yesterday there was a bombing of a hospital in Gaza, and they reported 500, again, innocent civilians died. Here, actually, let me read you this. So this is from CNN.com. It says, hundreds of people were likely killed in the blast on Tuesday at the Al-Allah Baptist Hospital in the center of Gaza City, where thousands were sheltering from Israeli strikes, the Palestinian Health Ministry said in a statement. Palestinian officials have blamed Israeli airstrikes for the lethal incident, but Israel has insisted it was not responsible. In a televised news conference Wednesday, Israeli military spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari claimed a lack of structural damage at the hospital proved the Israeli Defense Force, IDF, that's what that stands for, by the way, were not involved in the explosion. He claimed IDF intelligence showed that Palestinian Islamic Jihad, a rival Islamic militant group to Hamas in Gaza, caused the explosion when one of its rockets launched at Israel misfired. Hagari also said the IDF had intelligence of, quote, communications between terrorists, unquote, of rockets misfiring, which included mention of the hospital. Islamic Jihad denied Israel's assertions, describing them as false and baseless, and claimed it does not use public facilities such as hospitals for military purposes, according to the statement Wednesday. Okay, I did want to read that, but I'm not going to comment on it. When situations like this happen, honestly, I do like to give it a couple days, if not more, just to see the real information that comes to light. Similar to the baby situation. I can't say the other word with the word baby. Like I told you, I don't like combining those words. But similar to that, I didn't comment on that when it happened because I was like, God, that doesn't feel right. And it wasn't. Okay, the next clip I'm going to play for you is from my friend Sherry. She is Jewish. She said it's okay to say her name. And, this is going to touch on Zionism and I don't think I've said that word yet in any of these episodes, but Zionism is something we're absolutely gonna try and understand better. And so when she sent me this, because I actually asked her, I said, hey, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Can you help me understand it? I mean, and by the way, hope you guys realize something. I'm pretty resourceful, and I know how to Google things, and I know how to chat GPT things, but I like to talk to people, and I like to get real opinions from people whose opinion I respect versus just, reading something online or even ChatGPT. I mean, yes, I think ChatGPT should be relatively accurate, but you know what? My neighbor Matt Leinart, he sent me a briefing or an article that I haven't gotten a chance to read yet, but I'm going to, that talks about the political bias of ChatGPT. So after I read that, I will report back on that. But anyway, my point is, when I ask real people for their comment, it's because, like I've said before, there's bias in everything. And especially online these days, because that's the way a lot of people's opinions are shaped, is by what they read online. So when I asked her about Zionism, because she's very, very knowledgeable on her religion, and she's very into her religion, and she's a practicing, she practices Judaism. So she sent me this. So give this a listen.
This is without a doubt the most scared I have ever been to make a post. Please promise me you'll listen to my words and not insert what you think I'm saying or your understanding of the situation. You know the concept of big D Democrat versus small d Democrat? As in, a big D Democrat is someone who's in the party, whereas a small d Democrat is someone who believes in democracy. MSNBC uses that a lot. The same goes for Zionism. Big Z Zionism are the concepts of political, messianic, and religious Zionism. Those political ideologies want to take over Palestinian land, level Gaza, the ethnic cleansing. I could go on and on with the list of things Big Z Zionism believes. Then there's small Z Zionism. Small Z Zionism is an identity. It's not a political ideology. Small Z Zionism is the idea of Jewish self-determination, the concept that Jews need a state, where they won't be forced to convert, be unalived, or be expelled. Because at least one of those three things has happened for all of Jewish existence. And to have that be where our holy sites are, just like Muslims, not at the expense of, or instead of, or taking their space, but a safe state where Jews won't have those fears. That's it. When you say you're anti-Zionist, I know in my heart of hearts you mean Big Z Zionism, but it still hurts. Zionism is an identity, not a political ideology, is what got Jews through the pogroms and the Shoah. It's not a slang word where the meaning shifts and changes. And I don't know who said it was, but the ability for Jews to have that self-determination is fundamental to the diaspora. When someone tells you they're a Zionist, you're thinking of Big Z Zionism. But I implore you to stop making that assumption. There are many small Z Zionists on the left, and that misunderstanding is one of the reasons that leftist spaces aren't safe for most Jews. You can use whatever words you want. I'm not telling anyone what words to use or how to self-identify. But I am asking you to respect other people's self-identification. Big Z Zionism, political ideology. Small Z Zionism, fundamentally based in the generational trauma of being Jewish. And it's a personal identity. Nothing to do with politics. I'm sure a lot of people still aren't going to get it. And if you're confused, please DM me. I'd love to talk to you about it. But if you're intentionally ignorant and choosing not to understand, that's on you. I did the very best I could. To all of us in need of healing, and may the memories of those who have been lost and those who will be lost be blessings, especially those who have and will be lost because of political, messianic, and religious Zionism.
All right, that was deep, and I tried to turn up the volume as much as I can, or as much as I could. She was definitely a soft talker. But wow, I thought that was incredibly deep, and that definitely sets the stage for an episode that focuses on Zionism, because I think that is very important to understand that. By the way, I would ask any of my Jewish friends that heard that, I would really love your opinion on that, because again, this is outside of above my pay grade, so to speak, something I am not knowledgeable in as of yet. So I would love your take on that and what she said. All right, you know what? I think that's a good place to stop for today. We're at 30 minutes, and I am going to leave. By the way, did you guys enjoy the Tears for Fears Everybody Wants to Rule the World a cappella version yesterday? I love that. Seriously, I think I've listened to that like 500 times in 24 hours. I'm not even kidding. I thought it rocked. I've got a bunch more coming too. But I also have other clips, such as the Dana White take from 2 episodes ago. And today I'm going to play something for you from Democratic candidate Marianne Williamson, who, by the way, just texted me while I was recording this, and I'm not even kidding. I literally got a text from her. I am kidding. Not about getting a text, I did, but it's from her team. And guess what they want? They want money, like all the rest of them. I got a text from her, Vivek, Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie. I have not gotten any text messages from Mike Pence, though. I don't think the Pence team knows that you can send automated text messages out yet. They might not be up to speed on that, Team Pence. But anyway, in all seriousness, I did want to play this clip from Marianne Williamson. This is actually from the 2020 first Democratic debate. And, regardless of what you think of her politics or her or whatever, I love this take. I really do. I think this take that she talks about healthcare in America is a very good one. So anyway, have a wonderful day. Call a spade. Listen to Marianne Williamson. Please give me feedback. Send me things that you agree with, disagree with, you think I should discuss. If you get a chance, give me a 5-star rating on whatever platform if you think I deserve it and you're ready to do that. I mean that in all seriousness. If you are, I do appreciate it, because I think these algorithms do factor that into who they show as, somebody that you should listen to. And so without further ado, Marianne Williamson.
We don't have a health care system in the United States. We have a sickness care system in the United States. We just wait till somebody gets sick, and then we talk about who's going to pay for the treatment and how they're going to be treated. What we need to talk about is why so many Americans have unnecessary chronic illnesses, so many more compared to other countries. And that gets back into not just big pharma, not just health insurance companies. It has to do with chemical policies. It has to do with environmental policies. It has to do with food policy. It has to do with drug policy.
Thank you. This episode was brought to you by Boost Liquid Vitamins. Wake up, take your Boost, start your day. Drink your vitamins, build your immune system with Boost. Available on Boost.com.